In order to understand my success, I think it helps to know a little bit about who I am and where I came from. So I was born in North Carolina. My mom got divorced and we moved to Tennessee when I was approximately 13 years old, 14 years old. And so I did a lot of the growing up part of my life in Tennessee. I met my high school sweetheart at 18. We got married shortly thereafter. And after 2 years, she ended up leaving me for somebody else. And that kind of just broke my world. My parents had divorced, when I was 7, 8 years old. And so all of my life, I had basically just wanted a family where I felt like I could fully belong. And so to try and escape that, I moved out to Arizona to reestablish a relationship with my father, who had become estranged at that point. And I had kind of just devolved into running away from all of the emotional pain that I felt. So I became addicted to opiates specifically, but in all reality, I would use anything I could just to numb the pain. And I first became aware of SB&H after several inpatient stays and getting the SMI determination, which qualified me for residential treatment programs. SB&H's resident treatment programs, there were a few of them that I had stayed with. So I had stayed with the villages at Terra Vita, Via Agave, VDC, the villages at Via de Confianza. I had been in and out of these programs. My first interaction with the Community Resilience Center, which is another outpatient program, was when I was staying at Via Agave. I didn't really become involved with the CRC or the vocational training program until a lot later on, when I actually actively started engaging with programming and taking my medicine and learning skills through stuff like DBT or dialectical behavioral therapy. It was the stuff like DBT and meaningful engagement that really started to make me come back around. At the height of my disease, I had been one of those persons that you would see randomly wandering down the highway, just yelling obscenities at nothing. And those low points, it's important for me to hold on to, because I honestly don't think that I could have come this far if it hadn't been for programs like what SB&H has with the residential programs and the outpatient programs. Through the vocational program at the CRC, I tried a few different jobs. I tried the painting crew, I tried the cleaning crew, that kind of thing. And I eventually got to go over to the cafe, which sadly no longer exists. But it was through the cafe that I finally started to come into my own as far as finding a job and being a successful member of society again. It was around this time that I was finally able to stop taking medications, because I learned how to manage my mood swings without medication, and learning how to determine whether my psychoses, whether my hallucinations or whatever were real or not. So I decided I wanted to try and find a full-time job. And it just so happened that the cafe had a position open. So I applied and I got it, and it was around that time that my disability came through, oddly enough. And so I didn't need to be on disability because I wanted to work full-time. And so I didn't accept disability, and I ended up working full-time. I got married. I have 2 kids that I am so grateful to have, and I'm now continuing to work. I've never had to go back on disability. I always joke with staff members that I've worked with in the past and remind them of times when I wasn't doing so well. One of these examples being I was somewhat manic and flipped off of the program coordinator at the villages. And it's always just so funny seeing where I've been and where I currently am, because there is a stark difference. And I couldn't have done any of it without SB&H. And I think I would choose SB&H again any other time I needed services. The missions, the values, the staff, you can't find people like this anywhere else. They care with all of their heart. They don't do this just for the paycheck. They do this because they really want to make a difference in people's lives. And I haven't seen that as much as some of the other companies that I've received services from. So I'm ever grateful for what SBH has done for me and my family.